different, but they made everything different last night before having done all of that. I don't see how they unring that bell, and now they have their far left saying we have to do something. They got the constituents ginned up, and then they get the transcript, and whether maybe publicly they'll say this is enough to go forward with impeachment. Privately, they might say, gosh, we should have waited. But I just don't see how they try to then get away on a process point to say, no, It's not really the case. We don't really want to do impeachment, when yesterday, to me, was very different.
Right, because a lot of the media, they're doing these whip counts of how many Democrats support impeachment, and there's going to be this parsing of, do they support the inquiry that could lead to impeachment, or do they actually support impeachment? That is a distinction, but I'm not sure many voters are going to make that distinction, especially when you have that giant press conference, that big event under the lights like we saw from the Speaker of the House. And that was the big sea change in this. Pelosi had been adamantly opposed to the I word in any respect for months, and I think probably smartly so, given the evidence or lack thereof after the whole Russia saga. Clearly there's new information, a new controversy.
We're going to pause for one moment to let our Fox stations join us for this news.
I will say he's got a great reputation. He's very
This is Fox News coverage of President Trump's meeting with the president of Ukraine. I'm Dana Perino. Let's listen in.
Over the years, I think it's one of the primary reasons he got elected. His reputation absolutely sterling, and it's an honor to be with you. And we spoke a couple of times, as you probably remember, and they'd like to hear every single word, and we give them every single word. And then they'll say, well, what about today? I think the press would like to stay in the meeting, but we have lots of witnesses if you'd like to have it. But the country of our country is doing phenomenally well. We have the best economy we've ever had. We have the best employment numbers that we've ever had. We have now almost 160 million people working, which is more than we've ever had. So we're doing very well in every respect. And I have a feeling that your country is going to do fantastically well. And whatever we can do.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure to me to be here. And it's better to be on TV than by phone.
Yeah.
Thank you. And Mr. President, thank you very much. And I'm not the first time, truly say, in New York.
Right.
But I know that you've never been in Ukraine.
That's right.
And your predecessor also, how to say it in English, didn't find time. I mean that. Right. So, can you give me a word that you will come to our great country?
Well, I'm going to try. And I know a lot of people, I will say this, I know a lot of people from Ukraine. They're great people. And I owned something called the Miss Universe pageants years ago, and I sold it to IMG. And when I ran for president, I thought maybe it wouldn't be the greatest thing to own the Miss Universe and Miss USA pageants, but it's a great thing. And we had a winner from Ukraine, and we've really we got to know the country very well in a lot of different ways. But it's a country, I think, with tremendous potential.
Yes, I know it, because I'm from that country.
Right.
And I want to thank you for invitation to Washington.
Right.
You invited me. But I think, I'm sorry, but I think you forgot to tell me the date. But I think in the nearest future.
They'll tell you the date.
Oh, yes, they know before us. And I want to thank you, especially, Mr. President, to USA, to your government. Like I said, that I know many people, many faces. It's like the second family after my Ukrainian family. We know each other. Thank you for your support. Especially now when we have two wars in Ukraine. The first one is with corruption, but we'll fight. No, we'll be winner in this fight, I'm sure. And my priority is to stop the war on Donbass and to get back our territories, Crimea, Donbass, Lugansk. Thank you for your support in this case. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. If you remember, you lost Crimea during a different administration, not during the Trump administration.
Yeah, so you have chance to help us.
That's right, I did. But that was during the Obama administration that you lost Crimea. And I didn't think it was something that you should have, but that was done a long time ago, and I think it was handled poorly. But it's just one of those things. One of the elements that we discussed is the United States helps Ukraine, but I think that other countries should help Ukraine much more than they're doing. Germany, France, the European Union nations, they really should help you a lot more. And I think maybe together we'll work on that. They have to feel a little bit guilty about it because they don't do what they should be doing. You're very important to the European Union. You're very important, strategically very important, and I think they should spend a lot more in helping Ukraine. And they know that also, and they actually tell me that, but they don't seem to produce. So I'm sure you'll talk to them, and I'll certainly be talking to them.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. And you know, now I want to tell you that we now load the new country. And I'm sorry, but we don't need help. We need support, real support. And we thanks everybody. I think all of the European countries which help us. But we also want to have more. But I understand. So only together, America and EU, only together we can stop the war. And you know. We are ready. We just want to tell that we are, remember that we are the biggest country in Europe, but we want to be the richest one. It's true. It's in my heart.
Well, you know, you have great people in Ukraine, and you have very talented people
Very
in terms
smart.
of manufacturing, in terms of some of the things they do. And we're doing trading already, but we should be doing a lot more trading with Ukraine. But you have very talented people. They make great things at the top of the line, really. So that's very important. And the other thing is I've heard you actually have, over the last fairly short period of time, you've really made some progress with Russia. I hear a lot of progress has been made, and just keep it going. It'd be nice to end that whole disaster.
First of all, I want to tell you before the relations with Russia, I will prolong for 1 minute. I mean that you have to know, and I want Walt to know that now we have the new team, the new parliament, the new government.
Right.
So now we voted about 74 laws, new laws, which help for our new reforms, the land reform, big privatization, the law about concessions, we reload the general prosecurity, and we launched the service secretary. Is it right, service secretary?
Yes, anti-corruption court as well.
An anti-corruption court. As we came, we launched the anti-corruption court. It began to work on the 5th of September.
Right.
It was, you know, it was after 5 days we had the new government. So we are ready. We want to show that we just come, and if somebody, if you want to help us, so just let's do business cases.
Right.
We have many investment cases. We're ready.
And stop corruption in Ukraine, because that will really make you great. That will make you great personally, and it'll also be so tremendous for your nation in terms of what you want to do and where you want to take it. Thank you very much. It's a great honor.
Thank you very much, Mr.
President Zelensky, have you felt any pressure from President Trump to investigate Joe Biden and Hunter Biden?
I think you read everything. So I think you read text. I'm sorry, but I don't want to be involved to democratic, open elections of USA. No, you heard that we had, I think, good phone call. It was normal. We spoke about many things, and so I think, and you read it, that nobody pushed me. Yes.
In other words, no pressure.
President Trump,
Because you know what? There was no pressure. And you know there was, and by the way, you know there was no pressure. All you have to do is see it, what went on the call. But you know that. But you could ask the question, and I appreciate the answer. Go ahead.
Mr. President, would you like President Zelensky to do more on Joe Biden and investigate?
No, I want him to do whatever he can. This was not his fault. He wasn't there. He's just been here recently. But whatever he can do in terms of corruption, because the corruption's massive. Now, when Biden's son walks away with millions of dollars from Ukraine and he knows nothing, and they're paying him millions of dollars, that's corruption. When Biden's son walks out of China with $1.5 billion in a fund, and the biggest funds in the world can't get money out of China, and he's there for one quick meeting and he flies in on Air Force Two, I think that's a horrible thing. I think it's a horrible thing, but I'm going far beyond that. I know the president, and I've read a lot about Ukraine. I've read a lot about a lot of countries. He wants to stop corruption. He was elected, I think, number one on the basis of stopping corruption, which unfortunately has plagued Ukraine. And if he could do that, he's doing really the whole world a big favor. I know, and I think he's going to be successful.
Mr. President, on Rudy Giuliani, why do you think it's appropriate for your personal attorney to get involved in government business?
Well, you'd have to ask Rudy. I will tell you this, that Rudy's looking to also find out where the phony witch hunt started, how it started. You had a Russian witch hunt that turned out to be 2.5 years of phony nonsense. And Rudy Giuliani's a great lawyer. He was a great mayor. He's highly respected. I've watched the passion that he's had on television over the last few days. I think it's incredible the way he's done. What he's out is he wants to find out, where did this Russian witch hunt that you people really helped perpetrate, where did it start? How come it started? It was all nonsense. It was a hoax. It was a total hoax. It was a media hoax and a Democrat hoax. Where did it start? And Rudy's got every right to go and find out where that started. And other people are looking at that too. Where did it start? The enablers. Where did it all come from? It was out of thin air. And I think he's got a very strong right to do it. He's a good lawyer. He knows exactly what he's doing, and it's very important.
Mr. President, do you believe that the emails from Hillary Clinton, do you believe that they're in Ukraine? Do you think this whole thing...
I think they could be. You mean the 30,000 that she deleted?
Yes.
Yeah, I think they could very well. Boy, that was a nice question. I like that question. Because, frankly, I think that one of the great crimes committed is Hillary Clinton deleting 33,000 emails after Congress sends her a subpoena. Think of that. You can't even do that in a civil case. You can't get rid of evidence like that. She deleted 33,000 emails after, not before, after receiving the subpoena from the U.S. Congress. I mean, I've never heard. Now, she's done far worse than that, although I don't know how much worse it can be. But there were many other things she did that were wrong. But that's so obvious. She gets a subpoena from the United States Congress, and she deletes them. And then she said, as I remember it, that, oh, well, they had to do with the wedding and yoga. She does a lot of yoga, right? So they had 33,000 emails about the wedding of her daughter and yoga. I don't think so. How she got away with that one is just, but it's one of many. And it's corrupt government, because we have corruption also, Mr. President. We have a lot of corruption in our government. And when you see what happened with Hillary Clinton, when you see what happened with Comey and McCabe and all of these people, we have a lot of things going on here, too. Hopefully it's going to be found out very soon. But I think that a lot of progress has been made. A lot of progress has been made.
Will the military aid continue? Can you assure that it will continue in the future?
Well, we're working with Ukraine, and we want other countries to work with Ukraine. When I say work, I'm referring to money. They should put up more money. We put up a lot of money. I gave you anti-tank busters that, frankly, President Obama was sending you pillows and sheets. And I gave you anti-tank busters, and a lot of people didn't want to do that, but I did it. And I really hope that Russia, because I really believe that President Putin would like to do something, I really hope that you and President Putin get together and can solve your problem. That would be a tremendous achievement. And I know you're trying to do that.
President, did you ask the House
in
Speaker
the
to
phone
find a...
call, you said that you would look into Joe Biden. You would ask your prosecutor to look into the matter. Have you had that conversation?
Well, I think, no, I haven't, but I think that somebody, if you look at what he did, it's so bad. Where his son, he goes to China, he walks away with $1.5 billion. He goes to Ukraine and he walks away with $50,000 a month and a lot of money in addition to that. And the whole thing with the prosecutor in Ukraine. And he's on tape. This isn't like maybe he did it, maybe he didn't. He's on tape doing this. I saw this a while ago. I looked at it and I said, that's incredible. I've never seen anything like that. Now, either he's dumb or he thought he was in a room full of really good friends. Or maybe it's a combination of both in his case.
President Zelensky,
I heard your question. Thank you very much. Don't cry. I mean that we have independent country and independent general security. I can't push anyone, you know. That's it. That is the question. That is the answer. So I didn't call somebody or the new general security. I didn't ask him. I didn't push him. That's it.
Do you feel obligated to fulfill your promises to President Trump?
Sorry.
Ви почуваєтеся
У мене немає. Дякую. Я вам відповім. Зобов'язаним що?
Obligated to do what?
А зобов'язаним про що? Я нікому нічого не винен. Ви всі розумієте. Україна...
Ви двічі принаймні казали, що ви будете розслідувати...
Я сказав, що ми готові розслідувати. Україна незалежна країна і Генеральна прокуратура. Ви самі знаєте, у нас новий Руслан Рябошапка, дуже гарна, чесна людина. Ви знаєте, західний, із освітою, із західним досвідом. І чи буде він розглядати? Він повинен розглядати будь-які справи. Які тут можуть бути обіцянки?
Він вже розглядає цю.
Я впевнений, що у нього є, ви мене вибачте, але у нас є своя країна, Україна. У нас набагато є важливіших, багато більше важливіших, дійсно дуже важливих питань. І ви знаєте, це справи, це дійсно справи, які
You're watching President Trump having a meeting at the UNGA with President Zelensky of Ukraine. The president of Ukraine is right now taking a question from his country's home press, and so he's speaking his language, and they will have an interpreter now.
That Ukraine is an independent country. We have a new prosecutor general in Ukraine, a highly professional man with a Western education and history to investigate any case he considers and deems appropriate. Well, we have many more issues to care about and to tackle. We have Ilovaisk, we have Maidan, we have corruption cases, as President Trump rightly mentioned about that. So we know what to do and we know where to go, what to tackle.
President Trump, would there be a ask the Attorney General to be involved in this matter?
Go ahead.
President Zelensky.
Did you ask House Speaker Nancy Pelosi to find a way out of impeachment yesterday?
Not at all. No. Look, she's lost her way. She's been taken over by the radical left. She may be radical left herself, but she really has lost her way. I spoke to her about guns yesterday. She didn't even know what I was talking about. She's not interested in guns. I'll tell you what, Nancy Pelosi is not interested in guns and gun protection and gun safety. All she's thinking about is this. She's been taken over by the radical left, the whole Democrat Party. And you take a look at what's happening in the media today. The whole party is taken over by the left. And thank you very much. My poll numbers have gone up. But I don't want them to go up for this reason. When they look and when you see what's happening, people are really angry at Democrats. They're really angry at the Democrat Party. And things like, as an example, drug pricing, getting drugs down. Things like gun safety, infrastructure. The Democrats can't talk about that because they've been taken over by a radical group of people. And Nancy Pelosi, as far as I'm concerned, unfortunately, she's no longer the Speaker of the House. Thank you very much, everybody.
Anything on that, sir?
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right, that was the president of the Ukraine meeting with our president, President Trump, in New York. This is just hours after the president and the White House released the transcript of a call that the two of them had over the summer. It is a subject of much conversation. We were glad to be able to bring that to you this afternoon. Please stay tuned to Fox News Channel and your local station for continuing coverage. I'm Dana Perino in New York. And John Roberts is in New York City as well, at the same hotel where the president just met with Ukraine's president. The president covered a lot of ground there, and I would love to get your take on what you heard. Basically, I took away is nobody was pushed. There was no pressure. They want to cooperate on corruption, and the Ukrainian president seemed very comfortable in the room.
Yeah, and he seemed very comfortable with the conversation that he had with the president back on July the 25th. And we should point out, too, Dana, that was the second conversation that the two leaders had. That was after the parliamentary elections. The president had also talked to Zelensky after he won the presidential election. And now they're beginning to bubble up calls for that transcript of that first phone call to be released. What I thought was interesting, I took away the same thing that you did, that both Zelensky and President Trump agreed that there was no pressure that was put on Zelensky to conduct any kind of investigation. President Zelensky says that he is investigating corruption in his country because he wants to get out of the long history of corruption that Ukraine has become infamous for. President Trump also defending Rudy Giuliani's role in going to speak with Ukrainian officials in Madrid earlier this year, saying that he is investigating the genesis of the election interference in 2016 on behalf of Hillary Clinton that allegedly came out of Ukraine. President Trump saying that Rudy Giuliani, as a private citizen, is absolutely allowed to investigate something like that. What the problem for the president, though, remains whether or not he can be seen as trading off military support and other support for Ukraine for this idea of investigating Joe Biden's son. Initially, we had heard yesterday that there were potential ties between the president putting a hold on some $400 million in aid to Ukraine unless Zelensky undertook some sort of investigation. According to the transcript, that conversation never happened. There was some mention of aid to Ukraine and Javelin missiles, but we're told they were not included in the $250 million in military aid that the president had put a hold on. But now Democrats are going down this road that the president was seeking dirt on a political rival from Ukraine, and that's going to form the basis of the impeachment investigation that House Democrats are undertaking. But President Trump, again, saying he was fully within his bounds to send Rudy Giuliani to meet with Ukrainian officials in Madrid to try to get to the bottom of what happened with support for Hillary Clinton in the 2016 election. Dana?
Well, that was another piece that I took. For the president was very forceful, talking about the origins of what he calls the Russia hoax, that he blames the media for helping perpetuate, etc. Does he believe? What do you know about the White House's thinking about what they think is happening or happened in Ukraine back then?
Well, they believe that the government that was in place in Ukraine back then was meddling in the 2016 election in order to try to help Hillary Clinton. The president mentioned in the conversation that we got the transcript of with President Zelensky on July the 25th, the U.S. IT security company CrowdStrike, which did an investigation of the hack of the DNC server. The president said something about the server being in Ukraine. Now, we don't know, was that the server that hacked the DNC, or is that the DNC server is now there, or are the emails from Hillary Clinton that were allegedly deleted in Ukraine? That part of it is a little bit muddy, but the president started off the conversation with Zelensky back on the 25th, asking for him to investigate this whole business involving CrowdStrike, which would be a reference to the 2016 election. But it's after that it starts to divert into Hunter Biden and a prosecutor who was looking into Burisma Holdings, which was the natural gas company in Ukraine that Hunter Biden was on the board of, a guy named Viktor Shokin, who was being widely accused of corruption, letting the oligarchs skate, not prosecuting the right people. And so the United States and other countries wanted him out. That's when Joe Biden went to Ukraine and said, we are going to withhold $1.2 billion in loan guarantees unless this guy Shokin is fired. The president referenced Shokin a number of times without actually mentioning by name in that July 25th call. And Zelensky assuring the president that the new general counsel will investigate, he's 100% Zelensky's person, and will investigate all of this stuff that the president has asked him to look into.
John Roberts with the president, thank you very much. Let's bring in Alex Conant, former communications director for Senator Marco Rubio, Johanna Maska, former director of a press advance in the Obama White House, and Andy McCarthy, former assistant U.S. attorney and Fox News contributor. I'm told we have a brand new statement from Joe Biden, the former vice president. It says this: it is a tragedy for this country that that our president put personal politics above his sacred oath. He has put his own political interests over our national security interest, which is bolstering Ukraine against Russian pressure. It is an affront to every single American and the founding values of our country. This is not a Republican issue or a Democratic issue. It is a national security issue. It is a test of our democratic values. Congress must pursue the facts and quickly take prompt action to hold Donald Trump accountable. Andy McCarthy, can I go to you on two things? First of all, Joe Biden certainly figuring out a way. He thinks, in my mind, reading that statement he just put out, he has to fight fire with fire. And the president just now at UNGA, he was basically laying it all out there saying, I want to know everything. Joe Biden now basically says, it sounds like he is for impeachment when he says hold the president accountable. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, I think that what he's saying, though, Dana, doesn't square with what we're seeing in the transcript. So, for example, the last bit about, Russia, the transcript has Zelensky thanking Trump for the extraordinary assistance the United States under the Trump administration is giving to Ukraine in connection with the Russian Federation, and favorably compares it to what they're getting from Germany and France. And on this idea of whether Trump, the quid pro quo here is help me with my personal political agenda by, making a case on Biden, which would help my campaign. I think if you read this transcript, what he is mainly asking for help on is the Justice Department's investigation into the origins of the Trump-Russia investigation, which is an investigation Democrats don't like. They would like to portray it as simply a political exercise, but it's a legitimate investigation by the United States Justice Department.
And to that point, Andy, can you clarify, in your mind, when the president was talking about the emails in Ukraine, Hillary Clinton's emails in Ukraine, was he talking about the server or the emails? What do you understand about that?
Yeah, Dana, this is like one of the most garbled parts of the conversation, because in short order, the president refers to CrowdStrike. He says that I guess you have one of your wealthy people, and then he seems to stop and say the server.
Let me pull that up for people. I'll read it. This is from the transcript. This is President Trump speaking. I would like you to do us a favor, though, because our country has been through a lot and Ukraine knows a lot about it. I would like you to find out what happened with this whole situation with Ukraine. They say CrowdStrike. I guess you have one of your wealthy people. The server, they say Ukraine has it. What do you take that to mean, Andy?
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure if he's talking about I can't imagine he's talking about the Clinton email server, because the FBI had that. Mm-hmm. As far as the DNC server, I can't think of any reason why Ukraine would have that, unless it's some kind of a weird allusion to hacking. Yep. I think it's very hard to make out what that means. But it seemed to me, when the press was just asking the president questions, when they asked if he thought that Ukraine had Hillary Clinton's emails, that must have been a question that was spawned by this part of the transcript and the allusion to the server. Okay, Andy, stand by there. I want to bring in Alex and Johanna here. I want you to listen to, if you guys could pull up soundbite 41. This is David Axelrod, of course, a famous political advisor to President Obama, talking about the whole issue of impeachment and Democrats now. Watch.
I think there are great risks here, and no one really knows how this is going to play out. You could end up, in fact, invigorating the president's chances. You could end up losing many Democrats in the House if people react poorly to this, and you could end up with a president reelected and unbridled in his power. And that's, I'm sure, what Nancy Pelosi has been mulling over for months and months and months.
That changed yesterday, however. Now listen to Karl Rove, who was the advisor to President George W. Bush.
The Democrats have put themselves in a place. Think about this. This is going to hurt Joe Biden badly, because we're going to be talking about Ukraine and the idea of Hunter Biden being hired by a Moscow-leaning oligarch in order to demonstrate that he had juice with the United States.
Alex, your thoughts?
I agree with both David and Carl in those clips. So far, this is bad for Democrats because they've clearly gotten ahead of the facts here. They don't know the facts, but they were rushing to impeachment. It looks like a rush to impeachment now. It's bad for Joe Biden because now we're going to have a deep dive on how his family has tried to profit from him and being in office.
This is going to hurt
and I think
Joe
it's
Biden
bad for
badly,
Donald Trump because
we're
even though I don't think what was
Ukraine
said in that call was impeachable, it wasn't necessarily high crimes and misdemeanors. Even as allies on the Hill say it looks improper. Right now, the only person who comes out looking pretty good in all this is the president of Ukraine, who we just saw with the president, who basically said, I didn't feel any pressure, did a huge favor for the president of the United States in that conversation. And so I think now, A, he's not going to have any trouble getting future aid from the Trump administration. And B, I think Trump owes him a little bit there because it's going to be hard for the Democrats to go after him if the president of Ukraine says he didn't feel any pressure.
That's interesting because the president of Ukraine, not a career politician, right? He was in television before he ran for office. And now is like, yeah, he might be the biggest winner in all of this. Yeah. Okay, you did press advance.
Yes.
That's a great job. That's not exactly what the press office does. You go ahead. You look ahead. So I want you to just look back with me yesterday. When Nancy Pelosi at 5 p.m. comes to the podium, teleprompter, flags in the background, big statement to announce they're going to do an impeachment inquiry. Without having seen this transcript, without getting the whistleblower report, do you think that they might have buyer's remorse this morning?
No, I don't think they do. So you and I were both involved in many of these bilats and all of these statements, and you have an official look that connotes something, right? I think that it was important for her to display the gravitas by which she made this decision, because she is making it because she is a patriot and not because of her party. And that is going to be the continuation of what the Democrats are talking about, because if you look at this call and you look at it not as a Republican or a Democrat, and you look at someone saying, we are ready to continue to cooperate for the next step, specifically we want to buy more javelins from the United States for defense purposes, and then you hear a president say, I would like you to do us a favor, though, and then go into a series of conspiracy theories that have not been proven with any agency in the U.S. government, and then have the Ukraine president say, can you give us more information? It would be very helpful for the investigation.
We've got that.
This is, if you are just looking at it through a nonpartisan lens, do you want a Democrat to be going to a foreign leader with their personal attorney and saying that the attorney general is going to be there and saying, okay, we want you to cooperate and give us all the dirt without going through a process in the United States of America?
All right,
I think
Alex,
we'll say no.
Johanna, and Andy are going to stick around, but joining us now from California is Congressman Ro Khanna. He's a member of the House Oversight Committee and Sanders' campaign national co-chair. You, sir, were for an impeachment proceeding about a month ago. What has changed in the last 24 hours since Nancy Pelosi made this announcement in your mind? Do you have more members coming on board?
I think you have a lot of the national security Democrats who have won Trump districts coming on board for an inquiry. And the reason is they're concerned about our national security. Dana, President George W. Bush would never have done this against John Kerry. George Herbert Walker Bush would never have done this against Bill Clinton. Ronald Reagan would never have done this against Walter Mondale. So this is not partisan. This is why we have the President of the United States seeking information about a political rival from a foreign government.
When you saw the transcript today, did you think that it rose to the level of going for impeachment, that would be the straw that breaks the camel's back?
I do think this is the most serious allegation against the president because it goes to national security. And you have Senator Romney saying he was deeply troubled, deeply concerned about the transcript. We need to have an investigation that gets all the facts out there. And we ought to have the whistleblower complaint go to Congress. The Speaker conveyed that to the president, saying just make the complaint public, or at least get the complaint to the Intelligence Committee so we can have the facts and so we can protect our democracy.
Congressman, can I ask you one last question? We are in the middle of a presidential campaign. The Democrats are in the middle of a primary. Lots of people involved, Joe Biden being at the top of the pack for a while now, with one of the attributes being electability. Do you think that any questions now about Biden's electability in the light of all of this could change the dynamics in the 2020 race and perhaps help someone like Bernie Sanders, who you co-chair the campaign?
I don't. I think Bernie Sanders is going to win because he has the best vision for working class Americans, for working families. But I don't think being attacked by Donald Trump is going to turn off Democrats. If anything, it could bring you sympathy with Democrats. So I don't think this is going to hurt the vice president.
All right. Ro Khanna from California, the congressman there. Thank you so much.